Hello and welcome to the Grumpy Stew podcast, the podcast for and about flight attendants. My name is Dylan. I am your Grumpy Stew, and this is episode 8 of the podcast, a continuation of episodes 5, 6, and 7, all about the interview process and how to become a Grumpy Stew. This episode is going to focus on the face-to-face interview. But first, before we get started, as always, we're going to welcome our new members with partially outstretched arms to the Church of Fuck'em. Remember, it's not just a church, but also a philosophy. Fuck 'em. Today's prayer is offered to Our Lady of Flatulence, and a special prayer on behalf of our newbies to Our Lady of Painful Rectal Itch. Amen. So, talking about the interview process and getting hired has kind of reminded me of my early days of flying, before I became grumpy, but shortly thereafter I became grumpy. I started at a regional airline. I was based in Chicago for a year, and full-time reserve. It sucked. Chicago is cold, and, you get called at 4 in the morning to go up to O'Hare, and, the CTA and public transportation, the buses don't necessarily run 24 hours. So, it's a fucking mess. Anyway, full-time reserve, constantly had to go to Canada. I'd get these awful 4-day trips with 4 legs a day, 5 legs a day, 6 legs a day, in and out of Canada. Triple Winnipeg layovers. I hated fucking Winnipeg. I hated going to Canada. The Canadians, they're nice people, but they're weird, okay? They're fucking weird. And you know how you could tell that they're Canadian? The minute they walk on board, oh, sorry, they apologize. I don't know what, I guess they know they're going to be a pain in my ass the second they step on the plane. Oh, sorry, eh? Oh, it's about time to go. They're just weird, okay? They're entirely too perky. They're very perky people. It's disturbing. You'll be working like these hour-long flights, and they want like 6 drinks each, and they ask for weird shit. Oh, do you have fruit juice? Well, it's all fruit juice. All of it is fruit juice. We don't have meat juice on the plane. It's all juices are made from fruit. Oh, do you have fruit juice? Yeah, we have fruit juice. What kind of... It's all fruit juice. Oh, do you have tomato juice? Clamato juice? They asked for something called a Dirty Caesar's penis, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know. And they want clamato juice, which is pulverized clams and tomato juice, and they want to mix it with beer. I can hear some of you retching. It's disgusting. And, oh God, I'd have to go to these Canadian cities. Saskatoon, I called it Askatoon. And there's another Canadian city called Regina. It's spelled Regina, but it's pronounced Regina, like the vagina. And they will correct you. Oh, it's Regina, eh? And here's a little known fact. Canadians have a professional football league in Canada. And there is a team called the Regina Rough Riders. No irony there. Let's see, the other teams, I had to write this down because I don't remember their other teams. Let's see, they have the Regina Rough Riders. I believe their mascot is a bearded clam. The Toronto Pole Strokers. The Manitoba Muff Divers. They have really nice teeth. Has anybody else ever noticed that lesbians almost always have exceptionally nice teeth? I mean, are we going to find out after all these years that muff diving is really good for the gums? It's hygienic. Let's see, who else do they have? They also have the Calgary Crotch Lickers. Probably the same activity, I imagine. So that's Canada. And if you get hired at a regional airline, you're going to be going to Canada a lot, especially in United Express or Delta Connection, especially the small Canadian cities that are smaller markets, not necessarily like Toronto. But, no, you will go to Toronto, don't worry, but you're going to go to the other shitholes. You're going to go to the shitholes of Canada. You're going to go to Halifax. You're going to go to Edmonton, London. Ottawa is nothing special. Winnipeg sucks. Saskatoon sucks. I'm no friend of Canada. Okay. Nothing personal, Canadians, but I don't exactly enjoy boarding a plane in -40 Celsius, which is oddly the same as Fahrenheit. I learned that new thing when I started flying in Chicago. So like I said, today is all about the face-to-face interview. I kind of have like a lot to cover. I'm going to have to talk fast because, like I said before, I'm going to try to keep these things about 15, 16 minutes or less. So we're going to recap real quick. You've already submitted your application. You've done your personality test. You've been contacted several times. You've done a phone or a video interview. You've been contacted again. You've done your hurry up and wait. And finally, you get an invitation to do a face-to-face interview in some city, wherever that is. Probably depends on where your airline is headquartered, or if it's one of those regionals, it might have a cattle call in multiple cities. And so it just might be something you can drive to on your own. So first thing you want to do when you get your interview date is you want to get all of your ducks in a row. What are your ducks? You want to have hard copies of your resume. Not that anybody's going to read it, but someone might ask for it. You want to have hard copies of your resume. 3 or 4 copies. You don't need like a bazillion. You want to have, in your little folder with you, you want to have a copy of your residential history, your work history, a list of the countries that you have visited in the last 10 years. You want to have your references written down, their phone numbers, contact information, things of that nature. And you want to have the documentation that shows that you were, in fact, invited to the face-to-face interview. I'm going to tell you a quick story. When I went to my face-to-face interview with my airline, and they're calling out the names and to collect everybody's paperwork and shit, they didn't call my name. And I start sweating bullets. But luckily, I was prepared, and I had the email printed out that showed that, yes, indeed, I was invited to be there on that day at that time. Saved my ass. And I still got hired, by the way. So I'm just saying, you want to be prepared. In fact, that's going to serve you well when you do become a flight attendant. You're going to find that being prepared is better than not being prepared. And we'll talk about that at some point. You may get flown into the city of the interview the day before, if your airline is nice enough to fly you there on their dime. I do recommend going in the day before if you can. Stay a night at the hotel. A hotel that's very close to the interview location so you can just walk there and not have to worry about transportation. You want to get there and you want to relax. You want to eat. You want to go over your review, your prepared interview answers. Remember in the previous episode we talked about going on the Google, finding about 10 or so interview questions and writing down responses to those according to your own experiences. Remember that? That's what you want to do, because you're going to be asked some of those same questions in your face-to-face interview. And you're going to be nervous, you're going to be excited, and you don't want to draw a blank. You don't want your head to go completely fucking blank, and then you have to make something up. You don't want to do that. So if you review your answers, if you're prepared, remember preparation, if you are prepared, you're going to have answers come to your mind very quickly that might fit one of the questions that you've been asked. So it beats having to make shit up. Trust me. Now, you want to make sure you have appropriate interview attire. For guys, that's a suit and tie, okay? A nice clean haircut. I don't recommend having a beard, but if you do have a beard, it needs to be very immaculately trimmed and groomed, which is kind of the trend anyway right now, is to have the over-manicured beard. I don't recommend doing that because it looks stupid. I recommend you being clean-shaven, but if you do have a beard, go ahead and make sure it's nice and clean. Ladies, your hair and nails have to be on point. You have to have nice makeup. Wear an appropriate professional dress, interview attire. I don't know what that means for ladies, because I'm not a girl. I don't wear ladies' clothing. I'm not a cross-dresser. I have no idea what that means. Ask your girlfriends, okay? Don't ask me. But guys, it's a shirt and tie. Guys, it's a gray suit, a charcoal suit, or a navy suit with a very small pinstripe. Something subtle. A nice shirt that's clean and ironed, and a nice tie that brings everything together. Nothing loud, nothing crazy, nothing goofy looking. Do not show up wearing jeans or khakis. Wear a suit. Wear nice shoes. Polish your shoes, okay? Don't wear dirty shit-kicking shoes, okay? So your night before, you want to go ahead and touch up your shirt, iron it, iron your pants, make sure everything looks nice, okay? You want to sleep. Get a good night sleep so that you'll be ready to go in the morning and feel refreshed. It will help you stay calm, okay? Make sure you drink lots of water the day before. I'm sorry about all those noises. My computer's freaking out about something. Get up early and eat breakfast. Eat breakfast. It's going to be a very long day. your interview process could be hours long. You could be there the entire day and there will not be a break for lunch. So just anticipate that, okay? Maybe put a couple snack bars in your briefcase. So you want to eat breakfast. It'll help you stay calm. It'll help you maintain your energy because it's a very high energy environment. And you're kind of like a performing monkey and you're auditioning, okay? So like the cattle call things, where they just have a dozen cities and people show up and what they're going to have you do in those cattle call situations is they're going to have you stand up in front of the entire interview group and introduce yourself and speak about yourself for like 2 minutes or so. And they're just gauging your ability to speak publicly and not look like an idiot. Some interviews might have you read announcements. They might have you ask questions, participate in all the little group events that they're going to have you do. It's just, a lot of it's silly, but you want to participate and be active in it because the entire time that you are there, you are being observed by the recruiters and by the HR people and by anybody else there that is sent there specifically to observe you. And they're taking notes and they're looking at you, okay? I also recommend that you make it a goal to speak to every fucking person in that room. That's the other candidates, that's the HR people, it's the recruiters. Speak to everyone, even if it's for only 10 seconds. Say hi, shake their hand, see how they're doing, make some small talk, and move on, okay? If there's like some airlines might put like a beverage cart with beverages and ice and snacks in the middle of the room. Offer to get some people a beverage. Don't just stand over there and help yourself. Offer to get someone to drink. Hey, you look thirsty. You want something to drink? Just a little tip for you. Because that's what you're going to be doing for a living, right? That's what you want to do. So I recommend just making small talk. Don't get cliquey. Don't like make a friend and then just like glom to each other the entire day. That looks bad. You want to spread the love, okay? You want to show them that you're friendly, you're amiable, you get along with lots of people, and you're a nice guy or a nice girl. You want to be helpful, you want to be friendly again, all that good stuff. So at the end of all that process, and this process may include getting your picture taken. It may include measuring you for height. Some airlines have very strict height requirements. Some regionals might say that you can't be taller than 5'9", for example. Some airlines will say that you can't be shorter than a certain amount. Or they have to say you have to be able to reach the overhead bin barefoot and not use your tippy toes or something like that, okay? So there might be a test to gauge your height and if you can reach. They might see if you fit in a jump seat and can fasten the seatbelt without using a seatbelt extension. So if, I'm going to be blunt, if you're a fat fuck, you have to be able to close that harness on the jump seat without using a seatbelt extension. The FAA does not permit the use of seatbelt extensions in the jump seat. So you have to be height weight proportionate, at least to the extent that you can fit in a jump seat, okay? So if you need to start dieting now, I recommend doing that. Let's see. After all that other shit, you might have a little presentation. You might, all this other... Oh, shut the fuck up. All that other shit you might have to do. You might know right then and there if you're being offered the job. It's called a CJO, which is short for Conditional Job Offer. You might know that day before you leave the building that you have a conditional job offer. It might be a couple days before you find out for sure if you have a conditional job offer. Don't stress it, okay? They will let you know one way or the other within a very reasonable amount of time. It's not over until you get this email that says thanks but no thanks, okay? You are still in the game until you get that email. You're still being considered for the position until you get that email that says thanks but no thanks, okay? So don't lose hope, even if it takes them a couple of days to let you know that you've been offered the job. So let's say they offer you the job. It could be the same day they offer you the job. You're going to go into another building and you're going to fill out a whole bunch of paperwork. That's where your preparation also comes into play, because you're going to have to fill out all types of information for your security clearance. They're going to need your references, your work history, your residential history, your passport information. You're going to have to pee in a cup. If you are a drug user, you want to stop doing your drugs now if you're planning on becoming a flight attendant. Those days are going to be over once you decide to enter this profession, because you will be drug tested regularly and at random. But you're definitely going to get drug tested at the job offer, and you're going to get drug tested on your first day of training. And you might get randomly tested during training, and you're going to be randomly tested throughout your career. I got tested on my birthday once. I mean, come on. They don't care. The DOT and the FAA will test you. So be prepared for that. It's called a whiz quiz. If you're a pot smoker, those days are over. If you use narcotics, those days are over. You need to clean up anyway. It's just better for your health. We don't have room for that kind of shit. So that's where all the preparation comes in. You're gonna be hungry. You're gonna be tired by the end of this, but you're gonna be happy. You would have accomplished something that's very difficult to accomplish, because the numbers are staggering. At my airline alone, every time they open up the application process, 100,000 people submit applications, and they can only take 1,000 people a year. I think the most we've ever hired is maybe 1,500 in a year, and that wasn't enough. It never seems to be enough new people, but 100,000 people apply for 1,000 positions available. The numbers are staggering. But if you take the time to prepare yourself, I think that will help you in the end accomplish the goal of becoming a grumpy stew. I think it will help. So, I'm pretty much out of time. We're approaching 17 minutes at this point. So, I don't know what the next episode is going to be about. Tomorrow I go to Frankfurt, and then I follow that trip with a Zurich, and then I follow that trip with a, LA or something. So I'm going to be gone for 8 days, and then I'll be home for 5. And so while I'm home, I'm going to record a few episodes. And it'll probably be about some of the stupid shit I encounter during those trips. So I'm going to be writing notes. But first, you need to make sure that you like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, all that good shit. Also, make sure you say your Grumpy Stew Church of Fuck'em prayers tonight to Our Lady of Virility, and that will give you good luck during the hurricane season. Okay, that pretty much wraps it up for today's episode. Please leave your comments and questions. I have a question for the active flight attendants. What is the grossest thing that you have seen on board? Tell me all about it. Follow me on the Twitter at Grumpy Steward, and I thank you again for listening.